In this video, we're going to take a look at iframes in HTML. Now, basically, a iframe is just another HTML document that we can embed into our existing web page. And you accomplish that with the iframe HTML element. So again, it's used to just insert content from an external source. In this case, we're just going to have external pages. And this can be done for advertisements or navigation menus or images, many different types of things that you want to bring into your existing web page. And the benefit is you don't have to reload your web page. You can just bring them in with the iframe element. You don't have to load a new web page. You don't have to even refresh your web page. That's the benefit. Now, you can see here we have our existing index that we've been using, and I've created a couple other pages, an HTML document called first and an HTML document called second. And we're going to bring these two HTML documents into our main index page. And as usual, I've put all of the code for these HTML documents into the description of this video. And let's just take a look at these pages. These are going to be very simple. The document called first just says the initial page, and then this document will say the second page. Very, very simple. And again, we're going to bring these into our main index page. Now, again, we use the iframe element. That's what we need to use to accomplish that. Now, the first thing we want to do is set this frame border attribute. And it's either a 0 or a 1. 0 means it's off, 1 means it's on. And we're going to set this to a 1. And then we can give it a width. We use the width attribute. And let's set this to 200 pixels. And then we want to give it a height. So let's set this as well to 200 pixels. Now, you could put in percentages here. You could say 100% and 100%, and then this would expand to the width of the screen. But we're not going to do that. Now, here is where we specify whatever we want to pull in. And we'll come back to this in a minute. We're not going to put anything in here for the moment. Now, let's go ahead and give this a name. And we'll just call this our iframe. Pretty simple. And we don't really need to worry about this. This is more for PHP and ASP. We'll deal with this in future series. But we do need to worry more about the ID. And we're just going to give it the same name. So we'll call this our iframe. And we'll talk about this in a minute. So we have this all set. Now, what we're going to do is we're actually going to put some content in here. And I want to show you how this works. So let's just put in some very simple text. And we're just going to say, do you see this? And the reason I'm doing this is I want to show you that this content will not be displayed. Well, very likely it will not be displayed. If you do see it, it means your browser does not recognize iframes, but that's almost impossible since almost every modern browser supports iframes. But anyways, that's why I'm putting this in here. I want to show you that the content we pull in is from this source attribute. It has to come through here. If we put other content outside the source attribute, it will not display. And so that's what I wanted to show you. So let's go ahead and save this, and we will open up our web page here. And there you can see, we have no content here. You can't see anything. You do not see this text. If you do see it, it means somehow your browser does not support iframes. Now, you do see the border. Here's the border that we made. So you can see how that works. So if we set this to 0, you wouldn't even see this border right now. So let's go ahead and close this out. And now let's go ahead and specify the content that we want to bring in. And we're just going to specify our first.html right here. This is what we're going to bring in when we first load the page. So let's go ahead and save this. We'll refresh this. And there you can see, we brought in the first.html. And so again, that's how that works. So again, this is the HTML document that we're first bringing into our index.html. But what about this second.html that I created? Well, let's go ahead and create an anchor link for that. Now, this anchor link will be a link down here that we can click on that will load the second.html. Now, of course, we need to put it outside of our iframe element so that we can see it. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'll just copy and paste this in here because I've already typed it out. So here you can see we have the anchor element. Now, remember, this gives us the link. Here's the href attribute, and we're going to point to our second.html. That's what's going to get loaded. Now, here's how this works. We use this target attribute, and it points back to our iframe. Right? So because of this target attribute, this second.html will now be contained within our iframe. This is how it's done. It's done through this target. So these two have to match. And then we just put some text in here that says switch to new document. So let's go ahead and save this, and we'll refresh our page now. And there you can see we have our link. Now, what I want you to notice is when we hit this now, we should get our second.html loaded into this iframe. But notice the web page itself does not refresh. So let's hit this and see how that worked. No refresh. It's just instantaneous. So that is how iframes work. Oh, I do want to point out one thing. You will want to put all of these files in one folder. You can see I've called this folder 01. So they all have to be contained inside this same folder. Now, if you decide to go ahead and put these two documents somewhere else, you just have to specify the path here. You have to actually give it a path. But if everything's contained within the same folder, that's the benefit. We don't have to put a path. We can just specify the name of the actual file. Okay, I will see you guys in the next video.